All right, now let's talk about actually putting the ad together. So this will be what your potential clients see on Facebook. Everything else kind of happens on the back end to set it up to make sure the right people are seeing it in the right area. Now this is where you actually put together what you want people to see. There's a few different options, and by the way, you can make sure that you are showing to your Instagram account as well. One thing to make note of though is that some image sizes and video lengths won't show on Instagram because their policies are a little different, so keep that in mind if you come across that. So there's options that you have when it comes to putting together creative. You can do a single image or video, a carousel, or a collection, and I'll kind of show you what each of those looks like. A carousel is a series of images that will allow your user to kind of flip through some options. If you sell physical products at your store, this might be a really good option, or even if you sell services, you could show, this would be a great place to showcase maybe before and afters, or like process images like part 1, part 2, part 3 of a renovation and so on, and kind of let people interact with that a little bit. I like these because they are interactive and it does give people a lot of option to look through on one ad. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, I'm just going to grab some random images from my page. So like this might be one that I use. And image 2, maybe this one. And so on. And then obviously each one has a little short headline where you can put here. So the headline will say something like headline here, description text, just to give you an idea of what goes where and how it looks. Here's the call to action where you choose what the button says right here. You can do, there's a variety here, contact us, listen now, read more, learn more, get quote, so on. And here's the link. Here's where you put in the link to take them to a different page. If you're doing like a blog post, you put the blog post link. If you're encouraging them to contact you, go to your contact page and so on. Same thing. That's where that URL goes. And that's mostly it for that type of ad. You can also do obviously a single image or video. And same thing, you would select your image here. And one thing I will note too is that this is where the text goes for your ad. Coming up with the ad copy that you want to use, that's kind of its own beast, so I'm not really going to cover that here. Ad copy and copywriting is definitely its own art form, and it's really outside the scope of this series. So it's something you're going to have to test and kind of look into a little bit. So I'm not really going to cover that here, but this is where your text for your ad would go, that would say, you know, brand new store opening, or now taking clients for XYZ, that sort of thing. Or whatever you think your ad copy needs to say, or top 3 tips for finding a house in the Chippewa Valley, you know, whatever. Another option is collection. I believe this is only available on mobile, which is actually fine because a lot of the people who are looking through Facebook are only looking on their mobile phones. But here is what is cool about it, is that you can kind of have like a little landing page right there on Facebook. So it'll kind of show you what it looks like. Obviously, you can click around with this option as well on your own. This is kind of what it would look like if you're selling actual physical products, especially if you can sell them online. So that's another one. This is another one that looks pretty nice. Some of these you do actually have to have some kind of product listed with it. I tried using these without listing the actual products like this, but some of them you have to actually have at least one because it's built to sell physical products of some sort. And then there's this one as well, which I use quite a bit because a lot of the things that I help people sell are things that they can buy in store or services that they can purchase. So this one works pretty well. But what happens is then people click on your ad, it pulls up this nice little landing page here where you can take them to a page to maybe set up a consult or give them more information or teach them something about like what you do, provide educational content, that sort of thing. So those are a lot of your main ad type options. And I'm going to show you a couple others that aren't available because they're not available in this particular ad objective. And another thing to note is that not all of these creative options will be available for each ad campaign objective. So keep that in mind. If you are wanting to put together a certain type of ad that looks a certain way, but it's not giving you that option, it's probably because it's not available for that ad objective. Another thing to note that I do really like is the reach and the awareness, the awareness options, especially the reach one. It allows you to have a call to action called Get Directions. And with that, you can put in your store location, and if people click it, it'll automatically open up their GPS and give them directions directly to your store. They also have a call now call to action where it allows you to put in your number to encourage people to call you now. Those aren't necessarily available in the other ad objectives. So just letting you know that those are there because I like to use them a lot, but if you're choosing maybe a traffic objective, you wouldn't necessarily see them. So anyways, I want to show you the lead generation ad, and I'm just going to blow through this really quick because I don't want to go through the whole process of setting up an ad because I just want to show you what that looks like. A lead ad allows people to fill out a short form directly on Facebook to, have them take some kind of action. Maybe it's put in their information so you can get in touch for a consultation, that sort of thing. And you'll see here now that it's only showing you two different options for the type of ad that you can have. You can either have a carousel or a single image or video. From here, you probably wouldn't have a form available here. These would probably be blank. So I'm just going to create one. So here's where you create the form, and here's an idea of what it would look like on Facebook and Instagram. So you can have information for, I usually do more volume, quick to fill out and submit on mobile, but you can do higher intent, so it just gives people a chance to confirm their info. So that's up to you. You can always test it and see which one performs better. Intro, this basically says, here's your intro. You can kind of explain a little bit more. Choose an image, add more info here. Here's where you choose your questions. There's more options available as well if you want them. And you can also make custom questions here as well. One thing to note is you absolutely have to have a privacy policy on your website to make this be compliant with not only Facebook's terms and services, but also the law as well. If you don't have a privacy policy, you can buy templates relatively cheaply. Privacy policies usually live on your website. And they just state what your intent is for using people's information, and usually stuff like, we're not going to share your information, you're giving us this information willfully, and that sort of thing. And then here's a thank you screen that basically this is what people see once they fill it out. And as you're going through this, obviously you've seen that this is kind of what the form looks like when people go to click on the ad. They'll see when they click on the ad, this little box will open with the information for them to fill out here. And then once they submit it, they are taken to the thank you screen, and it says thanks, you're all set, or whatever you wanted to say, and you can have them perform a cover actions here. Usually this is where I encourage people to continue interacting in some way, like follow on Facebook, check out a blog post, something like that. But this is a really great option if you do things like free consults or something like that, or free quotes or free estimates. This is a good place to do that. Or is a great way to get that information from people, is this type of an ad. They can give you their information, and then as soon as they send it, you can call them and set up a time for the consult or have a phone consult if that's what you do. I'm going to leave that because I don't need that. So if I was doing an ad, I would maybe say something like, get a free quote. I would say more than this, but this just gives you an idea of what ad is going to look like. Display link, headline, send us some info to set up a time. Quick and easy. Again, this is definitely not ad copy I would use. I'm literally just showing you this so you can see where the information appears. So from here, then you can have a few different call to actions. apply now, book now, whatever you think makes the most sense. But as soon as people click on the call to action and click sign up, in this case, that's what it's listed as, that little form will pop up and allow them to submit it right there on Facebook. So that's really convenient. Like I said, especially for businesses that do like free consults and stuff like that. Let's see. From there, one other thing I would want to show you. Oh, and just to be aware, for lead gen ads, which I just showed you, you're not going to get a notification letting you know that somebody filled it out. And it's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. You can get automatic notifications if you hook up third-party software that will notify you when that happens, or you can check or you can check and see if someone's filled out the form, and if they have, you can download your responses from Facebook's Ads Manager, and I'll show you how to do that in a second here. So the other one I want to show you is messages. So again, I'm going to continue, and I'm not going to bother about filling that out because I just want to show you how that looks. Again, this is the one where you're limited what type of ad creative you can use. You can either do a single image or video or a carousel. Oh, and by the way, you can put videos in your carousel as well. That's an option there too. But basically now what you can do is set up kind of like an automated response to people. So as soon as they click on send message, you can come up with various things you want people to be able to do to answer that call to action in your ad. So if it was something like, get in touch with us now to schedule, you can come up with the automated responses as, hey, I'd love to work with you, what time works best. So it kind of does a little bit of the work for you already. So you can edit the message, and here's where you would say like what you want the messages to say or what you want your automated responses to be. So once they click on it, I believe then you have to respond in person or manually by yourself. But it is a great way to at least get the process started so people can begin the process of working with you. So that's another option of another ad type that you could use would be a messages option. And to show you what it looks like when people fill out an ad form and where you get that information, I think they've recently made some changes about what shows up where. So I might have to look for this a little bit. Usually it'll be here in the results column. If it's a lead gen ad, and it'll say like 1, 2, 3 or whatever. And then usually there'll be a link here where you can just directly download an Excel file or a comma separated value file, which basically means like a spreadsheet of the information that people submitted. So that's where you would do that right there. So anyways, that's where you set up your ads. Actually, putting together the ads is one of the easiest parts and one of the most difficult parts. It's easy because it's easy to put together the ad and add a picture. It's just difficult to know which picture, which ad copy you should use. And that's where testing really becomes important. You really want to test it and see what resonates best with your ideal clients and with your prospects on Facebook. So that is what I probably test the most, is my ad creative, meaning my images, my ad copy, my call to action, that sort of thing. But anyways, once you're done with that, once you have your ad put together, you hit confirm, and then your ad goes into draft, which basically means the system reviews it for anything that might flag it, so anything that might be inappropriate or something like that. Sometimes the system will flag it for no reason and you just have to resubmit it. But more often than not, as long as you're compliant with their policies, you shouldn't have an issue, and your ad will be up and running. And then later in this series, I'll also talk to you a little bit more about putting together and understanding statistics and how to track those for best optimization. But anyways, that's the basics of how to actually set up the ads. And then from here, we're going to talk a little bit more about strategy. So I'll see you in the next video.